So you want to build a new agent to handle an existing business process. Where do you get started? Well, first you need a basic idea of what process it is that you want to automate. And ideally, this would be something that you can automate from end to end, using a combination of workflows and AI to really remove the need for human decision making and human time. You can always build in human checks to the process later, but when you're looking for something to automate with an agent, look for processes that are made primarily of manual tasks like data entry or interpretation, can be handled by the current capabilities of AI models, and provide a high level of value to the business by speeding up a task or reducing manual labor. Some examples of processes that kind of fit these parameters would be invoice processing, sales team support, order and shipping management, inventory management, scheduling, knowledge management, that sort of thing. Now, if you already have a client or a process in mind, you can start by evaluating that existing need and outlining all the steps in that process. Each step that a person is currently doing should ideally be replaced by a step that the agent can perform. Not all of these steps will be performed by AI. For example, adding lines to a spreadsheet doesn't require artificial intelligence, but they will all be steps necessary to complete the entire process end to end. Whether you have a current process that you're replacing or not, we recommend taking a look at existing programs, existing software that handle similar processes to kind of open your mind and get ideas about what features should be included in your agent. For example, here's the feature breakdown for QuickBooks Online, which handles a variety of billing, invoice, inventory, and even time management and payroll tasks. Now, we may not want to include all of these in our agent, but looking through this list can give us a really good idea of what processes and sub-processes to include in our own agent. And it can also give us a really good idea about what businesses might be looking for in this process. The website is going to probably talk about pain points, different inputs and outputs and specific features. And the goal with building custom agents isn't to invent something totally new, but really to make something better, something cheaper, more customizable, something more accessible and flexible for businesses to work with. Another way to get a sense of what the agent should do is to look for job descriptions for that actual job function that you're trying to replace. For example, here's a job description for an order fulfillment coordinator. We can use this to think about what our order fulfillment agent should be doing, because ideally we'd speed up or replace the work of this role. If you take this approach, it's best to look at a few different job descriptions because each company has unique needs. Here's another job description for a similar role. You can see the areas of overlap, as well as some functions like team motivation that the agent can't fulfill. And then with all of this functionality in mind, think about the ideal scenario for your agent that you want to build. In the case of invoice processing, the ideal scenario might be that invoices can come in from any source like email, webhook, or direct upload, and they are correctly processed such that they can be paid without much human intervention or correction required. So when you're ready to build, Glide gives you 3 different ways to start thinking about your agent: data, layout, or workflows. Starting with data allows you to map out how data will be organized in your agent, which is crucial to the agent's success. If you already have data, you can decide which data to sync into Glide and if you want to reorganize it to work more efficiently for your agent. If you aren't ready to build out tables and columns just yet, you can start in the layout editor. You'll still need to select data inputs for each of your components, but you can just use custom values for now and type in placeholders. This is like using Glide to create a kind of wireframe or mock-up for the user interface of your app. And if you start this way, just make sure you go back and replace all of your custom values with dynamic values. While wireframing, you'll probably discover and think about different columns or tables you need to create in order for this layout to have the data it needs. And that's totally okay. Just make sure that you note this down so that you can build those things later. Or if you prefer, you can go right into designing automations and get started in the workflow editor. You won't be able to actually test any of the workflows you build without configuring data in the data editor, but you can play around with different possibilities for automation. Just lay things out visually. In this way, you can get a sense for what tables and columns you'll need and then get everything set up to test the workflow later. And you can even step away from the computer and draw things if you're finding this is a particularly difficult process to work out. This is actually what Evan Furness, a very experienced Glide expert when it comes to automations, does when he's working on the most complex workflows.
When I face a really hard issue and I'm looking at my iPad and I'm in like Notability and I'm just like drawing squares. I draw squares. I'm like, okay, I'm at this level. I'm pulling out this. Like I'm still working within squares. I'm just doing it.
And you can do it in other ways too. Maybe you're not at the point of designing how the workflow will work, but just need to map out the process in more depth. Maybe it's a mind map you need to sketch things out. Or some people even like the more linear process of outlining, like here you can see in Notion. No matter how you plan your agent, when it comes to actually building it, it's important to connect data layout and workflows to create a really integrated experience for both the agent and its functionality and the humans who interact with it. Earlier in this course, we looked at an operations agent we created to process incoming orders and assign fulfillment tasks to workers. We've already scoped out the data, layout, and workflow parts of this agent. And for the rest of this course, we're going to work through testing this agent and fine-tuning it to make sure it's performing at the highest level of accuracy possible.